For the 13th time in NNSCRA history, welcome everybody here to the Daytona 500 for the, yes, you're not reading the title wrong, the NNSCRA Snickers Cup Series. Now, I have been peppered with questions ever since I had the signups here for this event of, I thought that the Snickers Cup Series was dead. I thought you retired the series after Season 10. This is indeed the case. However, after Season 10, I did decide that we would kind of keep the series alive in a little bit of a respect by having only one of the special races from the Snickers Cup Series continue on, that being the Great American Race. We've run a Season 11 Daytona 500, a Season 12 Daytona 500, and now it's our 13th annual Daytona 500 here today on the 7th year anniversary of this channel on YouTube. Glad you are joining us, and we'll see who here today out of these 42 drivers is going to be able to add their name to the list of 12 other drivers that have won this illustrious race. There are 4 drivers in this field that have actually won this race before, and they would love to be able to become the first ever 2-time winner of the Daytona 500. Those drivers would include our Season 5 Daytona 500 winner, James McLeod. He's in the 29 car here today. Charles Sanford was the Season 7 Daytona 500 winner. He's in the 24 car in this field. Levi McIntyre won this race back in the Season 9 Daytona 500. He's in the 99 car. And the driver to win the last full-time season Daytona 500 back in Season 10, Trent Dunham, is in the 1 car today. So could any of those 4 drivers become the very first repeat winner of the Great American Race in the Snickers Cup Series? It seems like in this particular race, the number 9 holds a lot of significance. We've run 12 races here in this series for the Daytona 500. The 9 car has gone to victory lane 1/4 of those times, 3 times in total. The very first Daytona 500 was won in the number 9 by Logan Wilson. The 8th Daytona 500 was won by Makoto Oguchi in the number 9 car, and James Silverfox won the Season 11 Daytona 500 in the 9 machine. 9 car is in this field here today, being piloted by Pichu London. Could we see the 9 car go to victory lane for the 4th time in 13 Daytona 500s? Only time will tell. But I'm ready to go. Hope you guys are too. The drivers are ready for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Command is given, and we will get these cars rolling off. You can check down in the description below this video for the official starting lineup for this race. Kyle Matthews will start on the pole position. That Tony the Tiger Kellogg's Chevrolet out of Hendrick Motorsports, and alongside of him, it's the Penske Dodge of Philip Goldberg. We've got a number of drivers in this field, well known from other NNSCRA series here on this channel. Some drivers that have kind of faded out, retired from NNSCRA current series, are here for a one-off in this event. And there are a couple of drivers in this field that, at least to my knowledge, I've never heard of, that are making, to my knowledge, their first start ever on this channel. A couple of drivers that would fall under that include Landon Lyons. He's in the number 20. Also, Justin Thomas in the 49, as we've got an issue with a driver down on the apron there. That is Dallas McIntosh, the Jaspers engine and transmission Ford. Doesn't look like smoke's coming out from underneath that car, so maybe, just maybe, he might have a tire issue or something. We'll have to keep tabs on him and see if he's going to continue this race. He'll probably have to make an unscheduled stop here at the start and have to hope for a caution. But a couple of other drivers that I have never seen before that are in this field here today. One of them would be Vince Almariego. Never seen him before. I'm certain that maybe a couple of these drivers, I think, are taking part over in the Hunt Brothers ARCA series that James Qualls is running, but to my knowledge, I've not commentated a race where they have been in it. Yeah, you see that 77, there's no smoke coming out from underneath that car, so that's at least news he might be able to continue, but very curious as to why he's having to come to pit road. But here we go. The 13th annual Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500 is green. Let's roll. I botched that start. It wouldn't be an NNSCRA race if I didn't botch something, right? 50 laps of racing here, so how anxious are these drivers going to be with a double wide start to be going 3 and maybe 4 wide? Daytona can't really hold them 4 wide, but that doesn't mean these drivers wouldn't be willing to force the issue. And here comes one of those drivers that, to my knowledge, is making his debut here on the channel, Justin Thomas in the 49. And he's going to move to second place after 3 wide with Eli Bright and Philip Goldberg. Now Paul Minnick in the 48 fills that hole. And here comes Thomas with a big run out of turn 4. He wants to lead the first lap of the Great American Race. Kyle Matthews wants to deny him. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Thomas by a nose. Getting a drink of water since my throat was parched. So now, you got a Dodge out in front for BAM Racing, 2 Hendrick Chevrolets behind him. Kyle Matthews now with teammate Paul Minnick in tow, and now Minnick's going to go to the inside of his teammate for second place. So it looks like at least early on here, teammates not going to work together. Keep in mind that this is a special event, this is a non-points event, and so these drivers more than likely are going to be more aggressive than they would be if points were on the line, I would think. I thought I heard contact back there in the field. I don't see anybody wrecked and there was no caution out, but I thought I heard someone maybe brush the wall or else a car bottomed out there in the corner. I thought I heard sheet metal scraping. That could have probably maybe been a car's side skirts hitting the turn 3 surface. These drivers, obviously, most drivers, when they come to super speedway, start with very low tire pressures and then wait for them to build up. We got a car up in the wall there in turn 3. That's the 31 of Eli Bright. Hopefully he's not going to come down into traffic. I think he was able to get back down safely. Actually, that wasn't Eli Bright. I apologize. That was actually the 27 of Steve Morgan. Eli Bright's up here still at the front of the field. So my apologies there for not realizing which car was which. Meanwhile, Justin Thomas out in front, kind of Dale Jr.ing it, controlling the different lines. You got Philip Goldberg on the bottom, Paul Minnick up top. Looks like the inside line for the moment's going to win out. You've got Goldberg there in the 12. You got Seth Cole in the 38. Alexander Rowe in the 43. Zach Winkle in the 11. And here comes that 9 car. Remember I told you that number 9 is very good here in the 500. And Pete London 3 wide there for what would be somewhere around the 6th, 7th position. I've also been looking to see if we got any of our former Daytona 500 winners working their way up to the front of the field. Just outside the top 10 are James McLeod and Levi McIntyre. And we've got a little bit of a gap back here. Got this lead pack, and then you jump back here to around 15 of Phil Parker, Zachary Fitzwater, Michael Norman, Charles Sanford, and then you get this second group of stragglers here being led by Blaine Keys. Got Kev Shearer, Trent Dunn, Joshua Michaels there, Chris Dollerton, Dylan Young. I think they're all still in the draft. 45 of Ryan Brommer, the 16 of Carter Friesen. And there's a couple of other stragglers back here. Cole Deaver, James Shelley, and Julius Anderson. I think if they can stay single file and these drivers race up here, they might be able to catch back up, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if Anderson's lost the draft of the 2 ahead of him or not. He could be in trouble. There is Dallas McIntosh. He has returned back to the track. He is still on the lead lap as well, so he is hoping and praying that a caution comes out. He's currently heading into turn 3. The field is almost midway down the back straightaway, so they are close to lapping him. So at least he was able to continue, but he needs a caution flag, and he needs it to happen very, very soon before he goes a lap down, so that way he'll still be on the lead lap. He appears to be up to speed. Right now, they're 3 wide in 2 different portions of the field here. Alexander Rowe and James McLeod stuck in the sucker hole. But they're not exactly crowding each other, so right now it's not looking favorable for McIntosh to get that yellow flag. As now Vince Almariego has fellow Ford Taurus Jordan Lopez in tow. Ford's on the bottom, Dodge is up top with Pichu London and Alexander Rowe, who got way too high there in the entry of turn 3. Scraped the safer barrier, but actually did a pretty good job getting back off of it. And I thought we were going to have a battle for the lead there. I think Vince Almariego wanted to go to the inside, but the 6 was already there of Jordan Lopez, and now Lopez is going to be the one to try and take the lead away from the number 49 Dodge. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. These drivers have been battling pretty hard all the way through the field, but they've done a good job of giving each other room, and so we haven't exactly been put in a perilous situation, an awkward situation that would more than likely bring out a caution. That now starts to put our conversation in the direction of a long green flag run and possible pit strategy. Now, I do know for certain that if we ran this race completely clean and green all the way to the end, these drivers would have to make at least 2 trips to pit road. The fuel window is somewhere between 18 to 21 laps, and that's on a full tank of fuel, which would put them, with making one pit stop, that would make them about 4 to 6 laps short on fuel. They would have to come to pit road at least one more time after the first green flag pit stop, and a lot of drivers have a lot of difficulty getting to pit road when it comes to being around nearly 200 miles per hour and then having to get that race car down to 55 miles per hour before you hit that pit line. Got some new players up here at the front of the field. Pichu London taking the race lead now. Stephen Pollard the third up there in that U.S. Army Pontiac Grand Prix, one of I think 4 or 5 Pontiacs in this field. And there you see the UAW Delphi Chevrolet, another Hendrick Motorsports car up here. That's the 25 of Austin LaPlante. So we've got 3 of our 4 Hendrick cars up here at the front. LaPlante, Minnick, and Matthews. We've yet to see the 24, former Daytona 500 winner Charles Sanford make an appearance up here at the front yet. I think he's back in that second group that's starting to reel in the first group. And speaking of reeling in, the lead group's starting to reel in that 77 of Dallas McIntosh now. He'd love to look in his rearview mirror and see the big one, I think. But I don't think that's going to happen right now. And they're going to catch him very quickly and have a lot more momentum than he is. They're going to try and split him 3 wide. McIntosh getting out of the way of fellow Ford Taurus Jordan Lopez, and he's going to hold up the middle and outside line. It's the inside line that's going to be able to move, at least for the moment. Lopez to the front, Pollard to second, and Kyle Matthews to third, as now that outside line is going to be able to pick up the 77. McIntosh now will be up to speed and will be able to merge in with this group, but he did kill the momentum of that outside line pretty good. Get Justin Thomas switching high, switching low, trying to figure out which line he wants to utilize. And how about Steve Morgan? 27 cars down there on the inside line, 3 wide. And not too long ago, we saw him up in the safer barrier in turn 3. So he's done a nice job of recovering and making his way back up towards the front. Saw a car tucking up in line there behind, I think that was Pichu London. That's the 67 of Diego Yepes. He's up towards the front here. The only one of the Jasper Fords right now that's having a decent run. The other one, Dallas McIntosh, we just saw has been put a lap down, even though he's able to merge with this lead group. Don't look now, but that inside line's got a couple of former Daytona 500 winners in it, Levi McIntyre and James McLeod. They're working their way towards the front, along with the 15 of Philip Parker. Remember, Philip Parker was at one point trying to just latch on and remain with the lead draft, and now he's up here inside of the, I think he's in the 6th position, trying to crack the top 5. Justin Thomas has got a good car when he's out in clean air. It's the second time he's been out in front here, and it took a almost 3-wide situation out of turn 4 to wrestle the lead away from him the first time. Wonder what it'll take this time. Zach Winkle there, that Hooters Ford. See him right there behind Levi McIntyre's Sitco's Ford. Or Sitco, not Sitco's. It's not a plural company name. 3 wide further back there. That's McLeod, Winkle, and I think that was SP3 up on the top side. 3 wide further back at the tail end of this. That's Trent Dunham, Charles Sanford, Philip Goldberg, Chris Dollerton mixing it up. And we may end up seeing the aggressiveness amp up just a little bit in the next 5 or so laps with the potential green flag pit stops looming. Drivers are going to want to have themselves as close to the front of the field as possible when those green flag stops begin. We now have a pretty big lead pack. A lot of the stragglers from before have caught up. Got the 23 of Ashlyn Boyd, who's trying to stick with this lead group. Then you got a second group of drivers back here with Stuart Gratton in the 97, Blaine Keys the 0, Dylan Poteet, Quentin Moore in the 90, and Michael Norman in the 8. They're hoping they continue to race up there. If these guys can stay single file, they might be able to catch back up. And then we got another straggler back here that's lost the draft. That's the 10 of Matthew Dallio. And then this group here, remember we saw them before trying to stay up with the lead group. Well, that's not been the case now. Cole Deaver, Carter Friesen, James Shelley, and Julius Anderson have all lost the lead group, and they will probably, since there's 4 of them in this pack, they might end up reeling in Matt Dallio, and he'll be able to merge with their little pack as well. Battle is on for the lead. Austin LaPlante to the inside of Justin Thomas. He's got a Chevrolet in tow, Phil Parker, in the Napa Chevrolet out of Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. And it looks like LaPlante by about half a car length is going to lead that lap. 3/100ths was the gap scoring period, according to our ticker there up on the top left. And are we going 3 wide for the lead, maybe? 15 was looking. 25 comes down to block, is clear, and will hold on to that inside line, at least for the moment. Someone, I think, got the wall mid-pack, because they really split up again. Not sure who it was, but it's like an accordion effect. They'll all bunch back up again in just a moment, I would think. I'm not certain who it was that got the wall. It might have been maybe the 38 of Seth Cole, but it lost that second half of this lead group quite a bit of momentum and kind of spread the field out again a little bit here. And I think that was a big break for the 23 of Ashlyn Boyd with everyone checking up. I think the 23 may be back in the draft, so Ashlyn Boyd may be back up here in this lead now. Whoa, there was almost a little contact right there between Justin Thomas and Austin LaPlante. And here comes Levi McIntyre to the inside 3 wide. I don't think he had enough momentum and nobody went with him, so he tucks back in line behind Phil Parker. Here we go then. Right around this time, this would be where the fuel window is open. They will complete lap number 17 on to lap number 18, and it'll be about 18 to 21 the laps that you'll see these drivers diving for pit road. More than likely 4 tires and fuel, because it's going to take the amount of time to put 2 cans of Sunoco fuel in the tank that it would take to make a 4-tire stop. So why not get yourself fresh rubber while you're there? Now these drivers, they're probably going to be strategizing when they want to make this first pit stop in relation to when they're going to want to make their second pit stop. Car in the wall, 2 cars in the wall, Joshua Michaels and Josephine O'Neill. And here we go. Got some drivers indicating they're going to come to pit lane, including the leader. Trouble! We got a car around. That's Chris Dollarton spinning off the nose of Stephen Pollard III. Is that going to bring out a caution? No, we're still green. Spin coming to the entrance of pit road. We're still green. Kyle Matthews is on pit road. Dollarton gets the thing refired. He didn't come to pit lane. He's still out on the track. He may have flat spotted his tires. But we saw the leader of LaPlante came in. Jordan Lopez, Kyle Matthews, Philip Goldberg. Seth Cole is in. Trent Dunham, Blaine Keys, Dylan Young, Ashlyn Boyd, Cole Deaver, Carter Friesen. That turned the race lead over to Justin Thomas. There you see the smoke from the 83, and now here comes almost everybody else. Justin Thomas, Vince Almariego, Steve Morgan, Pichu London are in. That's going to turn the lead over to former Daytona 500 winner James McLeod. He stays out along with Ryan Brommer, Landon Lyons in the 20, and the lap machine of Dallas McIntosh. Also staying out was Stephen Pollard III. You got to wonder if he's got any damage to the right front of his Pontiac now after that contact with Chris Dollarton. We see Philip Goldberg start outside of the front row for the Great American Race. Blaine Keys in the 0. They are just now merging back onto the racetrack after their pit stops. And let's see who of these three are coming to pit lane. And it's going to be the 45 and the 20. McLeod stays out. I'm not certain he had a choice there, though. He may have been boxed in from being able to make it to pit road. There's Dollerton coming back on the track, so apparently he was able to make it around to pit road without tearing up his equipment after getting spun there by Stephen Pollard III, but it did not bring out a caution. Well, McLeod's going to have a very interesting time getting himself down to the inside line here, if indeed he's going to come to pit road this time. The good news for him, though, is there were other drivers that he was able to kind of merge with, so he wasn't running all by himself. So his lap times are going to hold up, at least I think, pretty well. Look at McLeod trying to keep his car low, not let anybody to his inside, and now he's going to hit pit road along with the 77 of Dallas McIntosh. So I believe, with him pitting, that the battle for the race lead would be right about here, with Justin Thomas, Vince Almeriego, and Steve Morgan. And this is the part of the show where things are going to be very spread out, and it's going to come down to how many people you have in your drafting party as to whether you're going to catch up here to this lead pack. This lead pack is only 3 cars in total right now, with the 27, 49, and 88. You got the 15 of Phil Parker there by himself. And then this right here might be a group that might be able to do something. You got LaPlante, Ryan Brommer. They might get reeled in here by Trent Dunham, Landon Lyons, Pichu London, Levi McIntyre, Jordan Lopez, Kev Shearer, Alexander Rowe, and Josephine O'Neill. So right here might be the pack that moves and gets up there towards the front of the field. James McLeod's going to come out here. Is he going to be able to merge with that pack? I don't know if he's going to be up to speed enough or not. Nope, not quite going to be up to speed with these guys. He might be able to latch onto the tail end of them, but they are blowing by him, at least for the moment, as now they make their way also around the 77 of Dallas McIntosh. Side by side for the lead between Steve Morgan and Justin Thomas, and that's actually allowing the 15 of Phil Parker, who I think just has a little whiff of that slipstream. He's starting to catch up to this group, so they may have 4 cars in their pack momentarily. That second group, which is now starting to get formulated as they've caught Pichu London and Austin LaPlante. Well, it actually broke up there. We've only got 5 cars in this pack, and then we've got about 9 cars in this pack. McLeod's actually was able to actually merge with them. Then we've got another pack back here off of Kev Shearer with Fitzwater, Bright, Clint Spillman, Johnny Gardner, Blaine Keys, Seth Cole, Kyle Matthews. They might be able to latch on to this group. That group of 9 all of a sudden took and turned into a group of 4 and 5. So they're almost like a grenade has exploded and there's just fragments all over the place. So it's going to take them, I think, a little bit of time to get formulated. The good news for them is that, 1, we have a second pit stop that's going to be coming up, so that's going to make the field jumbled up even more. And secondly, we have not even yet crossed the halfway point of this race. When Steve Morgan crosses the line here, we will be beginning lap 25, and the next time around will be the completion of halfway. These 4 drivers don't seem like they're any too anxious to just ride single file and try getting ahead of that second group that's trying to reel them in. They are 2 by 2 here amongst the front 4. Thomas and Morgan side by side, Parker and Almeriego side by side for first and third place. And now here comes that second group. The last time by, led by Pichu London, they were about 4.3 seconds off of the race leader. And they are definitely going to produce a lot more speed, even double file as they are, with having about maybe 10, 11 cars in this pack, and it may be more, as this second group back here, being led by the lap car of Dallas McIntosh, they're starting to catch up as well. So we could have as many as maybe 16, 17, 18 drivers in this group that are trying to reel in the top group. They cut it down that time by about 0.2, the gap from London back up to the race leader, Steve Morgan. And something tells me that with the way that they're still side-by-side racing, that gap is going to continue to decrease, and it may decrease much sooner than we think, especially if that second pack catches up to this, well, I should say the third pack catches up to the second pack and makes one big second pack. I think that that third pack is now in the second pack, just starting to get formulated here now, so see what the gap is this time from London to the race leader, and they cut it down by 0.4 that time, so they're getting close to cutting down nearly half a second each lap to these top four. And these top four, I think, are starting to realize that. I think they might be trying to put aside their differences and get single file, and now it's really broken the field up. Look at this. I think the 15 and the 88 with being side by side, I think they may have lost the 49 and the 27. So now they're really sitting ducks. They may end up having to deal with traffic sooner rather than later as well. You've got Carter Friesen and Julius Anderson here, both in the tail end of the lead lap. They were just heading into turn 1. Leaders were coming out of turn 4, so I would say somewhere within the next maybe 15, maybe to 18 laps, these leaders will end up catching drivers that are on the tail end of the lead lap that have also lost the draft. And they're side by side for the lead again. And don't look now, another 0.3 was chipped away off the race lead by this second pack of race cars, which now has about, let's see if I can count them, 3, 6, 9, 10, 13, 16, 18 drivers in it. And they're all being led by that number 9 of Pichu London. Ooh, Josephine O'Neill almost went up and got the ball. Looks like Ryan Brommer may have lost touch with that group. So he's starting to drift back now as he's lost the draft of that second pack. Then you've got these guys that are trying to formulate themselves into a third pack. Quentin Moore, Diego Yepes, Kyle Matthews, Charles Sanford. Got a number of the Hendrick cars back here. Paul Minnick, Michael Norman, Dylan Poteet, Kev Shearer, Philip Goldberg, and Stuart Grattan. Then further back, you got Zach Winkle and Joshua Michaels trying to keep up. Ashland Boyd in 23 now all by himself. This pack with James Shelley, Matthew Daly, Cole Beaver, and then Chris Dollarton, who had that really good save after getting spun out towards the entrance of pit road out of turn 4. And then you got Julius Anderson and Carter Friesen. I don't think we've got anybody out of the race. Nope. All 42 cars still running, 41 of them on the lead lap. The only lap car, Dallas McIntosh, who had to come to pit road for an unscheduled stop at the drop of the green flag. Take a look and see who's had the fastest lap so far. Fastest lap so far today has been laid down by the Sirius Dodge number 7 of Johnny Gardner at 44.354. Only other driver to hit a 44.3, just barely, was the 4 of Clint Spillman. Joshua Michaels, Trent Dunham, Blaine Keys, top 5 for fastest laps. Then Eli Bright, Charles Sanford, Zachary Fitzwater, Pichu London, and Chris Dollarton. And I believe out of those drivers, only 2 of them are currently running up inside of the top 10. And that would be, well, actually, no, only 1 of them is running up inside the top 10. That's Pichu London. Continuing to swap the lead back and forth are Steve Morgan, Justin Thomas, Vince Almeriego, and Phil Parker. But they may regret that in just a couple of laps, because now Zachary Fitzwater, who's leading this group, has closed the gap up to 2.5 seconds. And they are continuing to chip away. And is it just me, or did this group get smaller? No, I guess not. For some reason, it looked like some other drivers had maybe lost the draft, but so far only the 45 has lost this second group. This time at the line, an entire half second was taken off the advantage. Now 2 seconds flat from the first group back to the second group. The only thing I'm seeing here, though, is probably around the time that this group catches those top 4, we're going to be getting ready to have to make that second round of green flag pit stops, which according to my calculations will take place somewhere between laps 36 and 42, somewhere between 8 and 10 laps to go, I would say. Let's see what the gap is this time. I'd say it's somewhere around maybe a second and a half, maybe less. The gap from the first group back to the second group. Yeah, 1.4. I was close. That time they gained 0.6 of a second. And as the 19 begins to get into the draft of those top 4 and begins to pull that second group ahead even more, that gap's going to close up even quicker lap by lap. I think that probably Fitzwater is going to catch the top 4 probably within the next lap or so. I think maybe by turn 1 on the next lap, I would say. Maybe sooner than that. He may catch him here out of 4. Big run out of 4. Yeah, he's going to be on their back bumper by the time they reach the start-finish line. So that second pack did a good job of working together, not really going 3 wide and killing their momentum. And now, what was a 4-car pack at the front of the field now is about a 20-car pack. And now Fitzwater going to try going to work here and cutting through these top 4 to get himself to the front. So new players up here. Justin Thomas, Steve Morgan, they've been back and forth, but now there's some new friends on this playground. Fitzwater, Pollard, London, Alexander Rowe, Keys, Young, McIntyre, McLeod. As a matter of fact, we've got 3 of our 4 former Daytona 500 winners up here in this lead pack now. McIntyre, McLeod, and you see back there that bright yellow Pennzoil car of Trent Dunham. Oh, who led that lap? It was Steve Morgan by a splitter. Uh-oh. Seth Cole, Dallas McIntosh, Jordan Lopez. Something killed their momentum, and unless this pack goes 3 wide or something, they may lose this lead group. Well, they're back to single file back there. They might be okay. They might catch back up. Speaking of 3 wide, they are 3 wide. London, Keys, Morgan. And just like that, Morgan, who was battling for the race lead, he's gotten kicked up to the high side and he's starting to fade back, as is the driver he was battling with, Justin Thomas, in the 49. Got new players at the front of the field, Fitzwater, Pollard, and now the battle for third between London and Keys. Just ahead, 2 drivers on the tail end of the lead lap, 40th and 41st place. Julius Anderson in the 18, Carter Friesen in the 16. They're probably going to hold these drivers up a little bit as they're side by side for that position. That's going to not really open up any lane for Fitzwater to be able to bypass the both of them. It's like Anderson, maybe with a little bit of draft from the outside line, is going to... Well, I thought he was going to get the spot from Friesen, but Friesen battles back, and now here we go. Oh boy, look out. Pollard trying to go up the middle as Friesen's coming to pit road, and here comes our pit stops. I told you about lap 36 to 42. And our pit stops begin. First car to dive to pit road of the leaders was, I believe, the 0 of Blaine Keys, who was up, I think, around the 4th position at the time. So this is going to be potentially our last pit stop of the day. Pollard and Fitzwater both on the lead lap. And boy, that split the field up quite a good bit there. The drivers having to move out of the way for those that were indicating they were coming to pit road. And now Fitzwater and Pollard find themselves out in front alone with the lap car of Julius Anderson. Let's see if either of these 2 leaders are going to come to pit road this time. Fitzwater is, Pollard is. Behind them, just about everybody with the exception of James McLeod is coming to pit road. Ooh, little contact right there between the 9 and the 18. London was coming in a little hot. Now remember, James McLeod stayed out an extra lap under the first round of pit stops, so he's able to make it a little bit further than everybody else on his Sunoco fuel. So he's utilizing that to his advantage and will stay out an extra lap this time. Last time he came to pit road by himself and just barely was able to merge in with the second group that was trying to reel in the top 4. We'll have to see what happens this time. And it looks like he's got a clear path to the inside to make it to pit road this time. So let's see if he's going to hit pit lane this lap. And yes, indeed he is. So I believe he is the last car that needs to come to pit road to complete our second cycle of green flag pit stops, and now these drivers should be good to go the rest of the way on fuel. As McLeod crosses the line, we now have 12 laps to go here in the Great American Race. So it's crunch time. McLeod hits pit road. Let's jump to where the race lead would be. It looks like it'd be teammates right here out of Everham Motorsports. Fitzwater currently ahead of Pichu London. And you got Jordan Lopez trying to get around his teammate Carter Friesen, who's right now a lap down. You got Blaine Keys there as well. Lap car of Julius Anderson, then Steve Morgan, who would, I think, be up in the 5th position now. Trent Dunham in 6th. Stephen Pollard the 3rd and 7th. Then you got a couple of drivers here that have lost that lead group for the moment. Phil Parker, who I think would be in 8th. Landon Lyons in 9th. And right now, top 10 would be Seth Cole. It's all a matter of whether drivers are going to be able to catch up to this lead group that's starting to formulate. James McLeod merging back on track. Don't know if he's going to be able to stay with this lead pack or not. Trent Dunham trying to. Stephen Pollard the 3rd trying to. Is up front. Battle for the lead is going on between the 6 and the 0. The 16 of Carter Friesen right now on the tail end of the lead lap. This is not for position for him, but he's trying, it looks like, to help his Roush teammate, the 6 of Jordan Lopez. On that inside line, hit by Blaine Keys, and now Keys to the outside of Carter Friesen, and Jordan Lopez says, wow, that outside line's got good momentum. I'm going to jump up there. As these guys continue to race, Trent Dunham, Stephen Pollard the 3rd, James McLeod hoping that they're going to be able to have enough of the draft to get up here into this lead group, which at this current point in time only holds 6 drivers on the lead lap. The 0, the 6, 27. Actually, I'm sorry, it's only 5 drivers on the lead lap. 0, 6, 27, 19, and 9. Blaine Keys crossing the line, giving us 10 laps to go. Trent Dunham, I think, is still in the draft of this group, but I don't think Stephen Pollard III or James McLeod are. We got a second pack that's formulated here, being led by Justin Thomas, with Seth Cole, Levi McIntyre, Josephine O'Neill, Clint Spillman, lap car of Dallas McIntosh, Phil Parker, Landon Lyons, Dylan Young, Alexander Rowe in it. So we'll keep tabs on the top left to see the gap between the 49 and the 0. This pack has about 8 cars in it. The other pack had about maybe 10 to 12 in it. And if they catch Stephen Pollard III and James McLeod, that'll be 2 more they can add to their ranks. We got 9 laps to go here, and the gap back to the 49 has stayed about the same. About 5.9 seconds, a little under 6 seconds. So right now, not as many cars in this first group, but they're producing enough speed to hold that second group at status quo. Blaine Keys out in front. Steve Morgan in second. Lap car, and then 3rd place Jordan Lopez, and now he's going to go to the inside of his teammate Carter Friesen. At this point in time, the only opportunity for teammates to work together are the 6 and the 16 and the 19 and the 9. 7, or make that 8 laps remaining here as McLeod went around Stephen Pollard III. That was for 7th place, but both drivers still in dire need of trying to catch the draft of that lead group, which has now gotten themselves into single file formation. So that is even worse news for McLeod and Pollard. This group has gotten themselves a little bit single file. They're double wide further back here. Dylan Pote was actually able to catch up to this group, so now he's fighting up here. May end up seeing if these guys cannot reel in the top 6 drivers in that lead pack, they may end up just settling amongst themselves for the top 2 spots in this pack, which would be top 10 positions, 9th and 10th place. We're closing in here on Stephen Pollard III and James McLeod, though, so it could end up turning into a battle for 7th. Meanwhile, up front, battle for 2nd place taking place here with the 6 of Jordan Lopez to the inside of Steve Morgan's 27. Oh, we got a car that's blown up! That's Fitzwater in the 19! And he was running at the time in the 5th position. Trying to get that car down to the inside, at least I thought he was. Now back up on the track. He's got to get down the apron. Tough break there for Fitzwater with only a handful of laps left to go here in the 500. And the engine is let loose on his Dodge UAW Dodge Dealers Dodge. That was a lot of Dodges in that sentence. Oh, that is a tough break for Fitzwater. No doubt he was en route to a top 10 finish, maybe a win, if the fates were with him. And man, it's bad enough you have an engine problem at the beginning of a race, but when you're running up there with a chance to win the Daytona 500 and you're closing in to 10 laps to go, to have it go then, it's got to be such a gut-wrenching feeling. Right now, Blaine Keys, he's hoping his engine doesn't explode. He's out in front showing the way here, and they seem more anxious to battle for second than they do to reel him in for the top position. But side by side between Steve Morgan and Jordan Lopez for second place. Now Morgan in control of that spot. Keep in mind, in this lead group, the 18 and the 16 are not on the lead lap, but that doesn't mean they may not play a very important X factor into who's going to win this race. Right now, your drivers that would be battling for this win are the 0 of Blaine Keys, the 27 of Steve Morgan, the 6 of Jordan Lopez, the 9 of Pichu London, and the 1 of Trent Dunham. And the gap from them back to that second group has closed, but it's only closed by 1/10 in the last 2 laps, and there's going to be only 4 laps to go here at the line, so that second group is running out of time. They'd have to cut it down a second a lap, and I just don't see that happening. Morgan on the back bumper of Blaine Keys. In the running for this win, we've got 1 Pontiac, 2 Chevrolets, 1 Ford, and 1 Dodge. So all 4 of the manufacturers in this field represented up here inside of the top 5. And now Lopez to the inside of Steve Morgan. I think he was hoping that his teammate Carter Friesen be up there to be able to give him the drafting help. Friesen's about a car length back. Gotta wonder, are Trent Dunham and Pichu London formulating some plan back there, riding in the 4th and 5th positions. 3 laps to go here at Daytona. Going to look and see if we got any stragglers. Kev Shearer exiting out of turn number 2. The leaders are in turn 1, so I don't think that this lead group is going to catch any traffic. And now it looks like McLeod and Pollard, they got swept up by that second group, but that second group, you can see right there, is really spread out. They are not lined up the way they need to be. They are not in a big pack of race cars, and so they're going to have to settle it amongst themselves from 6th place on back. Right now, Justin Thomas 6th, Dylan Poteet 7th, McIntyre battling for 8th with McLeod. But up here, look at this. This is actually for position between the 18 and the 16. This would be for, I think, the 40th place. So they've got their own little battle for position, but it's actually kind of boxing in London, Dunham, Morgan, and Lopez, who are trying to get up there and battle with the net zero Pontiac of Blaine Keys. And Keys, looking at his rearview mirror, seeing this 3-wide formation, has got to be loving this. Carter Friesen's going to clear all of those guys. I think he was trying to get his teammate on the high side along with him, Jordan Lopez, to get around Pichu London, but that didn't work. Now look out for that 9 car, trying to get its 4th win in 13 Daytona 500s. White flag displayed, 1 more lap to go. Right now, Blaine Keys sitting good, about a car length in hand. What he does not need is for the 16 of Carter Friesen to try going to his inside here down the back straightaway. Lap car could play a factor if Friesen gets enough of a run here down this straightaway into turn 3. Riding right in the tire tracks of Blaine Keys, but doesn't really look like the gap is closing. Lopez shoving that 16 there down the back straightaway, trying to give him enough of a run. If Friesen opened the door down low, these drivers would be more than willing to take it, but still about a car length in hand. Blaine Keys is going to hang on, and he's going to come out of turn number 4 as they're 3 wide behind him. Blaine Keys will win the 13th annual Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500. You look at the season he's having over in the Hershey's Cup Series this year, and a well-needed return to victory lane on this channel for Blaine Keys, one of 5 Pontiacs in this field, and the Pontiac Grand Prix, for the first time in ages, goes to victory lane, back to victory lane here on this channel. They seemed more content to battle for second place than they were to get up there and take the top position away from Blaine Keys, and I don't think Blaine Keys had any issue with that. Big win there for Blaine Keys as he becomes the 13th different driver to win the Snickers Cup Series Great American Race. Standings are official. Jordan Lopez will bring it home in second. Third place, Steve Morgan. Pichu London nearly put in the 9 car in victory lane for the 4th time in Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500 history. He'll have to settle for 4th. And Trent Dunham, a former winner of this event, brings it home in the top 5 in 5th place. Justin Thomas, in his debut race, gets 6th. Dylan Poteet brings it home 7th. A couple of other former winners of this event, James McLeod 9th, and Levi McIntyre, or make that 8th for McLeod and 9th for Levi McIntyre, and Josephine O'Neill brings it home inside of the top 10. Stephen Power III, after the contact with Chris Dollarton, he'll finish the day out in 11th. Alexander Rowe brings it home in 12th. Dylan Young will finish in 13th. Phil Parker in 14th, with Seth Cole in 15th, and the rest of the top 20 completed by Landon Lyons, Clint Spillman, Michael Norman, Austin LaPlante, and Stuart Gratton. Look on down the remainder of the finishing results. 39 cars finished this race on the lead lap. Make that 38 cars, I should say. Kev Shearer was the last of those drivers to do so. 3 drivers finished a lap down. Carter Friesen and Julius Anderson got lapped during the long green flag run. Dallas McIntosh fell a lap down after making an unscheduled stop at the start of this race. And only 1 driver finished out of the race. That was Zachary Fitzwater after the engine let go with about 7 laps remaining in this Daytona 500. So a tough break for him. The good news for him and all those other drivers that didn't get a good finish, there were no points on the line. It was a special race, and basically it was just for bragging rights. So they may have an opportunity if a 4th annual Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500 rolls around. But today it is all Blaine Keys going to victory lane and capturing his first win in the Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500. Hope you guys enjoyed today's Snickers Cup Series Daytona 500 event. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today, and we will see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy all the rest of the content that comes out here today on the 7th anniversary of this channel. And once again, thank you all so much for your support. If it wasn't for you guys, this channel would not have made it to 7 years. The support you guys give is what keeps me going doing these videos. So a big thank you to you guys, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of the videos that come out here today on this anniversary. Till then, I've been Seth Cole, and you know what you've been doing? You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA, offline racing at its best.